I am totally opposed to Central Bank Bill 2014. This bill is to compel the sale of €1 billion worth of mortgages and €1 billion of matching mortgages of the ICS Building Society. We are told today that the purpose of this is, quote, according to the Minister, to support new entities in entering the Irish market and thereby increasing competition to ultimately benefit the consumer. And the Minister tells us again later that this proposal is to encourage competition. This is a palpably false premise on which to base a substantial banking measure as proposed here. The boot prints of the EU Commission and of the European Central Bank are all over this proposal, who are dictating this to the Irish government, which is falling on its knees in front of these European agencies as usual. The European Commission and the European Central Bank are the very agencies who insisted that the private, bad gambling debts of the speculators, the developers, the bankers and the bondholders in the Irish property bubble should be paid for by bleeding the Irish people dry through the 6-year austerity programme that we have already come through. Why should we believe or accept anything these agencies says in view of their record in compelling our people to take on their shoulders the debts of the sharks in the European financial markets, in their reckless gambling in the Irish property bubble, chasing super profits, all of which the Irish people had absolutely nothing to do with. The EU Commission and the ECB protect first and foremost the interests of those very sharks in the financial markets, the major financial institutions and the bondholders, and not at all the interests of the Irish people, the Greek people or working class people anywhere in Europe. What did so-called competition between banks and mortgage providers do for the Irish people from the year 2000 to 2008? They piled in here to blow even bigger the property bubble that was developing. And they outdid each other, not in the interests of the consumer, the ordinary people, but in gouging as much as they could from the unfortunate young working people in the main who had a need to put a roof over their head and who were held by these gougers along with the developers and other speculators to pay exorbitant amounts of money for the basic human right of a home and condemned to unsustainable mortgage, not like their parents for 20 years, but for 40 years duration. That is the record of these entities that the government now seeks to bring in here, they tell us, in the interest of the consumer. Who are you fooling? So these entities blew that bubble sky high until it shattered with disastrous consequences for our people. And then these very sharks got the EU and the ECB to force two Irish governments, Fianna Fáil and the Greens, Fine Gael and Labour, to fall flat on their face in front of the laws of the financial markets, to defend their interests and to bail them out from the crash of the casinos that they were running in the Irish property market. Therefore, I'm totally opposed to this proposal and to the sale of 1/6 of the mortgage books of ICS. And of course, these unfortunate mortgage holders, perhaps 6, 7, 8,000, can finish up in the hands of vulture capitalists from anywhere in the world, exactly as happened the unfortunate mortgage holders with Irish Nationwide, who found themselves parcelled and sold off a few weeks ago by the Irish Bank Resolution Corporation to American vulture capitalists. And now they are in the hands of international speculators. They came outside this stall here to beg the government to give them an opportunity to buy back their mortgages at the discounted rate that was being offered to the speculators. And this government refused, because that also was in the interests of the sharks in the financial markets. The capitalist financial system is a diseased system from start to finish, run in the interests of super profits, of tiny elites in the financial markets, unelected, unaccountable, and invisible to ordinary people. Now we are told that a further inoculation of the bacteria causing that disease will somehow cure it. What incredible logic. I stand instead for the complete public ownership of the financial system in this country and in Europe, under the democratic control and management of ordinary people, so that these institutions are then utilized entirely for the benefit of society, to build the homes that our people so desperately need at the present time, to give investment to small enterprises, to self-employed people, etc., to create the jobs and reboot our austerity-destroyed economy, and in general to work for the benefit of society. That is what would be in the interests of our people. Councillor, the second part of this bill deals with provisions around the European Stability Mechanism in relation to loans to Greece. No Irish socialist could support anything that supports the architecture of the bank bailout and the specular bailout that was enforced on the Greek people, but has enslaved the Greek people for the last 5 years. And the minister has the audacity to say Greece and the other Euro member states agree that it is only through the full and strict implementation of the fiscal consolidation, that is austerity, that the Greece essentially will be able to recover. Can we? And the minister goes on to make further statements with regard to how things are going well in Greece. Can I bring an air of reality to this stall? The EU and the ECB, with the complicity of the Irish government, has condemned the Greek people to a never-ending Gethsemane of suffering through the economic policies that have been forced on the Greek people. The Greek people have been forced for 5 years to sweat their lifeblood in order to satisfy the sharks in the financial markets. And again, like the Irish people, forced to salvage the big players in those markets. The catastrophic austerity agenda of savage cuts in Greek public services, in wages and incomes, has ground the Greek economy into the dust. There is a humanitarian crisis of horrific proportions. Workers have lost 50% of their purchasing power since 2009. Unemployment is 28%. It is 61% for youth unemployment. A full 50% of hospital beds have been closed down under the austerity program. Children are coming to school malnourished. That's the reality, Minister, of EU policy in Greece. And this horror has created conditions where even the fascist right are garnering a foothold. So like in Ireland, these are not solutions. like in Ireland, only a socialist transformation where the economy of Greece is in the interest of the Greek people. And I urge the Greek working people, join with the Irish, with the Italians, with the Portuguese, the Spanish, all are the victims of this system, to overthrow this rotten system and put in its place a system that is run in the interests of society and of humanity. That's the alternative to your bill.